In this video, we'll see how to use your calculator to compute a test statistic, a t-test statistic. Here's the t that we had from the previous video on conducting a two-sample t-test. And so you can see that, you'll recall that we had these statistics for two groups. Here's our mean, standard deviation, and sample size for one group, mean, standard deviation, and sample size for the other. And this is the equation or the formula for finding t. And so we insert the two means up here in the numerator of this fraction, insert the standard deviations here, and insert the sample sizes here. I've filled in all the numbers, and I would encourage you to write the formula out with the numbers in it first before you try computing this on your calculator. And don't forget, one of the most common mistakes I've seen is people forgetting the squares here on those standard deviations, so don't forget those. Now, I showed one way to do this in class using your calculator. I'm going to do it by a slightly different manner here. First of all, whenever we have a fraction like this, it's implied that there's parentheses around the numerator and around the denominator. Of course, this square root acts like a parenthesis on the bottom, so we don't need the parentheses there. But there would essentially be some parentheses up here. Now, assuming you have a calculator that you put in the square root, you push the square root button before you put in the number you're trying to square root, you'll use the directions I'm about to give. If your calculator, if you put in the number first and then do the square root, then you'll need to do a slightly different procedure than I'm showing here. So basically, your calculator has some parentheses buttons. So what we need to do is just put in this left parenthesis for the numerator. So you put in 23.13 minus 20.77. And then you need to close the parentheses there at that point. Then you're going to divide. So you push divide, that's the bar here. And then we need to do a square root, so you'll hit your button that has a square root on it, and that will probably automatically show a parenthesis like this. Then what's going to come is all of this stuff in here, and you don't need these parentheses here. You don't need to do anything special with this at all. You just put it in this order. You do the 2.924 squared, and then divided by 15, and then the plus, and then 3.787, and that's squared, divided by 13. And that finishes the bottom, and we close that with a parenthesis here. Now, your calculator knows that it's supposed to do these exponents first, then the divisions, and then the addition last, and then it'll take the square root, and then it'll do this division of what it's gotten here. So then all you need to do at this point is finish the whole thing. And so depending on what your calculator has, you'll either hit the equals button, or maybe you have a button that says enter. And if so, then that's what you hit. And so that's all it really takes to do this. You should try this with these numbers here. And remember that the value we got for this is 1.824. So try that on your calculator. If that works out for you, then what you should do is go to some of the exercises in Chapter 5. I believe it's exercise 9 that has you actually compute some values of the test statistic t when you're given various means and standard deviations and sample sizes.